We are doing it live. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 3:30 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it is orange and blue today. Denver Broncos in a Raiders week. What does that mean? Is it the end for Nathaniel Hackett? No Jonas Griffith, no Jerry Jeudy. How can the Broncos get it done? We are here to break it down for you. I'm Cecil Lammey. Hope to be soon joined by one Andrew Mason, but as y'all know, I'm pretty chatty myself, so let's get to the chatting, shall we, in terms of what we're going to see from the Denver Broncos this week. I just finished up my game plan. It'll be available at denverfan.com, and I go through each week looking at what will work against each week's opponents, and this week against the Las Vegas Raiders, if the Broncos want to, that's a big if, middle of the field is going to be open. Middle of the field open for Greg Dulcich. Middle of the field open for the ground game. And let's start with the running back situation. Melvin Gordon, Chase Edmonds, Latavius Murray. And they get it wrong every single week because it's always Gordon starting and getting carries that I don't think he deserves. And I don't want him to get those carries. Like, whatever. It's not personal. I just think Melvin Gordon's that good. And he fumbles the rock. And he fumbled twice against Tennessee, once out of bounds, once they called. He was down. Like, okay, whatever. All I know is he carried the ball, and at the end of the play, he didn't have the ball. Okay, that still makes me nervous. I know they weren't officially fumbles, so let's all calm down in supporting Melvin Gordon. They weren't fumbles. He started the play, and he ended the play and didn't have the ball. So that's a problem. That's a concern. I know they weren't fumbles. Whatever. Don't at me, bro, is what I say. But if this team wants it, the middle of the field will be open based on my film study of the Las Vegas Raiders and what can work against this team. When you have a player like Kylan Granson, who, converted wide receiver from SMU, tight end for the Colts now. When Kylan Granson is doing his thing, then that's good things for Las Vegas Raiders. Not good things. Mace, you look much more comfortable today.
Yeah, I'm warmer today.
Much warmer.
I mean, same type of hat, but I'm warm. I'm toasty. I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. And I will say this, talking about what works against this team, I think middle of the field is going to be important for this team to attack. And I would say if they're going to use the ground game, then plug it up the middle. Murray's a power gap guy. Gordon's a power gap guy. He can do both. Both can. But Chase Edmonds on drop plays would work too, just from my film study. And I just finished up my game plan for denverfan.com, where I go through the weaknesses for each opponent. Middle of the field is where you're going to attack the Raiders if the Broncos are seeing the same things.
Yeah, I'll tell you what else works, and it's also the middle of the field. I think it would work to get some tight ends involved.
Yes,
I think you're going to see Greg Dulcich on some of those short routes or the intermediate routes, and he's going to be open. They're going to give that to you. Another thing also, Andrew Beck is inactive for this game. He's got the hamstring injury. That means you're probably going to have Albert Okwuegbunam up. Man, I would be using him. I'd be using him down the middle too. I'd be using him down the seam. I wouldn't have him as an inline tight end. I'd have him as that move tight end in space and actually do things that play to his skill set. So I'm going to, if it's up to me, my game plan, I'm going to tight end, but I'm using Albert O as a big receiver. So, sometimes I'm working in Jalen Virgil on the outside, Kendall Hinton in the slot and going 3 wide. But most of the time, I'm actually thinking of Albert O as my big receiver that I'm running from the inside. And I've got Kendall Hinton and then Cortland Sutton operating on the outside and then rotating in Jalen Virgil from time to time as well when I need some vertical speed. You know what? These are things that make so much sense, right? What you and I are saying makes so much sense.
Yes.
And yet, I don't think we're going to see it.
Draw plays, middle field open. Draw plays, Chase Edmonds, middle field open with Dulcich, with Okwuegbunam. And I'm going to ask you something, Mason. I know you will tell me the truth because that's what we do on this show. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put this in a way you may disagree with the way that I phrase it, which is fine. Phrasing is a thing. But, will Nathaniel Hackett put his ego to the side to use Okwuegbunam in that way? Because it's there against the Raiders. It's there for Dulcich too. But it's there for Albert O if the coach puts his ego to the side and just puts O in and let him do what he's not a blocker, but let him do what
Stop trying to jam the square peg in the round hole. right? Let him do what he does best. It's there. Will he do it? I mean, look, in theory, I say you're 32nd. You can't get any worse. Let's try some different things, right? Let's try to,
Sure.
try to shake things up a little bit. Using Albert O more would certainly be a shakeup. Using him as he is best intended to be used. I always believe that a test of coaching is not trying to jam square pegs into round holes and trying to have this inflexible scheme and trying to make everything fit, but actually adapting your scheme to the talent that you possess. And I look at what the Broncos are going to have out there on Sunday. They're not going to have KJ Hamler. They're not going to have Jerry Jeudy. I think when I'm talking about playing to the talent that you have, it's going with a lot of 2 tight end packages. It's giving opportunities for Russell Wilson to buy some time, get out of the pocket, and then let Kendall Hinton do what we know he does best, and that's come back to the ball on the outside, right? And then if you get all that going, the draws are going to be there in a big way because you're going to spread them out horizontally. Actually, you obviously the Raiders have a very different scheme to the Broncos, but I think there is a principle there in horizontal spread of a sub-package defense leading to draw plays. It singed the Broncos against Josh Jacobs back in week 4. Turn the tables on him with it. You can do that. And as I kick the tripod, because I'm so
you're kicking all over the place.
I'm so wound up about this. You and I are just sitting there saying it's right there in front of them. If it's obvious to us, shouldn't it be obvious to them?
It should be. And you mentioned the scheme, like, hey, make your scheme fit the players. And Hackett's scheme isn't good. Like, this all makes too much sense. But I have a feeling like you opened up the show with, Mace. And again, we're not negative on this show. We're just going to tell you the truth. We're going to be very positive about this. It's too difficult to be negative about this team all the time. We're not shock jocks. We're not trying to be like, the Broncos are the worst ever. Like, no, okay, they got some talent. But damn it, I'm like you, Mace. Everything that they should do, I don't think they will do.
I know. I've lost faith. That's the thing. And they're going to have to earn back my faith on this. In other words, I've got to see the things that can work and work well and work sensibly with the talent that is on hand. And not only do I have to see it once, I have to see it again. I have to see that you don't revert to old habits, right? You can make it work for a game, but you know what? If I see it work on Sunday and they go out there and they put up a nice number against the Raiders, I want to see it a week later in Charlotte, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Don't lose your nerve. Don't try to get too cute. I mean, first things first, this team's got to figure out what it is offensively. And I think that starts with accepting the skill sets and talents of the players that it has to work with, right? I mean, we just watched Tennessee last night go up to Green Bay and put a whooping on the Packers. We saw Tennessee and what they did to the Broncos. You know what Tennessee does? They play to what they have.
They know who they are.
They probably have the best sense of identity about in terms of realizing who and what they are and playing to that. And they don't try to ask guys to do things that are beyond their skill set.
That starts with Mike Vrabel.
Yes. I mean, I wish this team had some Tennessee Titans in it. I really do. Because if they did, they wouldn't be 7. They wouldn't be 3-6. They might be 6-3 right now. Mm-hmm. If they had a better sense offensively of accepting who and what they are at this point in time. And that's coaches. And that includes the quarterback as well.
Yes. The old adage is teams take on the personality of their head coach or their quarterback. Well, it's pretty bad when your quarterback doesn't really have a personality that people can warm up to. And your head coach is Happy Fun Baby Star. Klongyan says Mace doesn't have red cheeks today. Klongyan, which set of cheeks? Either way, Mace, I always have your backside.
I like that.
I always protect your backside, buddy. But
and I like how you're saying backside too. Thank you.
Exactly. Right.
Just keep leaning into it. No, my rump is comfy today. I'm in one of the conference room chairs here.
Yeah, those are nice chairs too.
Bonneville International Denver.
I might have to wheel one out to my car next time I'm in the studio. I didn't say that on air, did I?
Hey.
Yeah.
There are nice chairs in the studio now.
Oh. Right.
I mean, they
upgrade.
Our studio has been have you checked out the new radio studio yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's beautiful. Like it's gleaming. and it's been kept clean. You know, we're a bunch of slobs in this business, right? A lot of us are. We're not very persnickety. Not many of us are persnickety about cleanliness and all that. But I'm telling you, that studio is gleaming right now. It's gorgeous.
It's like Brandon Stokely's bathroom. So there you go.
There is one guy who's persnickety about cleanliness and so forth.
Oh yeah, it is
yes.
Stoke. It is Stoke. Is there what's the dude from the game show, like Howie Mandel? Right? He's just got to fist bump everybody. Like, that's Stoke. That's Stoke.
So are we saying that Stoke is a germaphobe?
He 1000% is.
Okay. Would he admit that he's a germaphobe? We're not.
I think he has on it.
Okay, all right. I want to make sure that I don't want to put that on him if he doesn't cop to it. So yes.
Yeah. Just clown him all day. It's fine. The Jonas Griffith injury, as Jose brings up, like, okay, what happened, Mace? What happened?
Well, he was injured. Like, he was already injured. He's been dealing with this foot for some time. This foot issue for some time. Now. It's an aggravation. That's what it is. I don't think practicing in the snow on grass, by the way, which everybody prefers, and by the way, the practice fields are heated and they clear them off. So I'm quite certain they were dealing with a relatively pristine surface when they were out there. It actually wasn't snowing all that hard when they were out there yesterday. During the practice time, it was just snow flurries at Dove Valley. So I don't believe that the snow had anything to do with Jonas Griffith aggravating the foot injury. But he's going to become number 15 on IR. They've got 14 on IR. Actually, no, he'll become 14 because Jacob Bobenmoyer is going to go off of IR, because he looks like he's good to go. Mitchell Fraboni, the other long snapper, went on IR. Bobenmoyer is designated for return. I expect they'll make the return official on Saturday, allowing him to play on Sunday against the Broncos. Bobenmoyer did practice all week after he had thumb surgery last month. So, hey, you're getting somebody back.
Yeah, right? I think the Broncos injury situation is like, who's on first? And that concludes our baseball talk. Well, at leleast for me, Mace. You might have a baseball reference. You never know. You'll be talking about Don Mattingly or something here pretty soon.
I'd be happy to talk about the free agent shortstop market right now, but that's not. This isn't that type of show.
Yeah, shortstop today.
Yes, that's not what we're doing here right now. But you talk about the comings and goings. You got Bobenmoyer back. Baron Browning, I think, is looking pretty good to return on Sunday. Maybe
get that video out on. You even put it on your Instagram.
Yeah, he was doing the high kick. He was doing a little bit of the high knee stuff in warmups, which is a good sign, by the way, when you're coming off of a hip injury. I think you may see Baron Browning on a little bit of. I'll make a baseball reference here. A pitch count.
Snap count.
Yeah, he's going to be on a snap count. There we go. We'll use the football term. I use the baseball reference just to kind of torque you a little bit. But you know what? I do think we'll see Baron Browning on Sunday. I think we're going to see Cam Fleming back in the lineup as well. Tom Compton, this is just kind of reading the tea leaves a little bit. He's working his way back, but I do think that maybe we're talking about Compton being active, but not necessarily starting just yet. Think about how with Billy Turner and both Justin Outen and Nathaniel Hackett have made the Billy Turner illusion when talking about Tom Compton. Billy Turner was active, and then he got on the field and actually played against the Chargers. It took a couple weeks before he was fully good to go. So I think we may see that with Compton, where he is active and can go in just in case, but maybe isn't quite ready just yet to do the full game of snaps.
I still love the VJ drop. When it's cold, it's tough.
Yeah.
When it's cold, it's tough. And we're all tough in Colorado because, damn, it's pretty cold now. Not like Buffalo with all that snow, but
today was gorgeous. I mean, it was 24 degrees, but it was that classic Colorado 24-degree day where it felt kind of pleasant. It felt kind of pleasant because when there's not wind, if you've got calm winds and it's 24 degrees and the sun's out, doesn't feel all that bad. I mean, if you just layer up enough, you're good to go. I had on a hoodie here, a zip hoodie. I had a vest and I had a jacket and a hat.
What's funny is
I was
when
fine.
I was traveling my driveway, I had a muscle shirt on.
Yeah, I saw this morning on coffee break. Yeah,
and I'm in my house right now. I've got a sweatshirt, it's just stocking hat. Like, I don't know. I can't figure it out. But either way, it felt good. Sunday it'll be better.
Yeah, is the muscle shirt still on, by the way? It's just under the layers at this point?
No. I didn't.
Oh, you totally got changed.
Got the
Then.
waffle
Wow.
shirt on. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's all good. It is
But
all
yeah,
good on orange and blue today. Now with
unlike
less
Buffalo.
Jonas Griffith. Yes.
Yeah.
Unlike Buffalo and Vaughn's truck being buried in the snow. We've seen something like that. But
they've got an issue getting guys to the airport to be able to get out to Detroit on time.
Wasn't it that Buffalo game when it snowed here and like guys Stink and Big Al and everybody, they're catching rides on four-wheelers and stuff? Remember that?
They put out a call on the local television stations and on the local radio stations that if you have a snowmobile or you have a four-wheeler and you can get out, that there are a bunch of Bronco players and coaches that need rides to the facility. And then you had a snowplow in front of the bus that was helping clear its way to the airport. And then the runway was cleared to allow the Broncos to get out there. They arrived in Buffalo after midnight Eastern time on the day of the game. And of course, Buffalo was not going to push it back to a late afternoon start time. No. They kept that start time at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And the Broncos pulled out an overtime win. One of the signature moments of that championship season.
Yep. One of the absolute greatest stories to hear.
Yeah, J27 says, I don't think the Raiders ready if they got to play in this cold Sunday. Well, it's not going to be cold. It's going to be probably in the mid to upper 40s. A perfectly fine late autumn Colorado day where weather isn't going to be a factor. As long as the winds don't kick up, weather is not going to have anything to do with who wins or loses this game.
Was that 200 yards for TD?
I think he had a big game that day. It may have been. Yeah, he did have.
That sounds like break out the snowplow, right? Break out TD.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. You know what? It was the very epitome of this community getting behind the Denver Broncos. This community, despite the frustration of the moment, this community does love its Denver Broncos.
Yes,
and gave a hand. And
I'm sure they'll pick them up on snowmobiles if they needed to today, right now. Somebody's got to pick up Nathaniel Hackett on a snowmobile. Would Broncos fans do it?
I think there'd be Broncos fans that would do it. Yes,
okay.
I do.
All right.
I don't think that part of the DNA has changed in Broncos country to where if they needed help just to get out of town, that there wouldn't be people willing to help them get on the plane and make it to the game. Because you know what? Ultimately, good or bad, most of us are watching on Sundays. Now, as I've seen in my Twitter mentions, there are some that have wavered. Because of the frustration of the last few years. And that's a storyline for this game, Cecil, because obviously we know that Nathaniel Hackett's seat is sizzling at this point. Just had the discussion on the air with Derek Wolf and D-Mac. What are you looking at to see a change? What could cause a coaching change? And I did say a blowout loss, but then I kind of walked it back to say, it's one of those things where you're going to you know how there are of some things that I'm not going to mention. You know it when you see it. Mm-hmm. I think the type of loss that would lead to a coaching change, it's going to be, you know it if you see it, you know it if you feel it. And it's going to be reflected in some things like, what do the stands look like in the fourth quarter if it's a close game?
Well, and it could be a close loss. You could be up 17-0 and lose 20-17, and that could be enough.
Or it could be a 13-10 loss where your defense does amazing work again, and the offense once again is stuck in the mud. By the way, the Raiders have allowed at least 20 points in every game so far this season.
Oh, yeah.
So if the Broncos don't get to 20 points against the Las Vegas Raiders, that's, by the way, my first number in my numbers column on Saturday. 20. That's, if you don't get to 20, you've done screwed up. Wardell M with a comment. Hackett's a good guy, just sucky head coach. I would give him a ride. You know what? That kind of, I think, reflects what a lot of people feel about Nathaniel Hackett in this market. He is a genuinely good person. I think
you like him.
Right. If you met him, you'd love him. And I think that's evident to a lot of people. This is a genuinely good man who's probably in over his head as the head coach at this point. By the way, are you laughing about the comment?
I'm laughing at the comment because it's
finesse
so true.
And works.
Like, hey, if no one picks up Hackett, then Evero has to be the interim.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, And that's the other thing that's looming over this, and another reason why we're having these discussions about whether there's a coaching change or not, especially if it's where the defense continues to play well, is that despite being 3-6, you are seeing Ejiro Evero's name high on almost every list of coordinators / assistant coaches who are going to be in demand in this next coach hiring cycle. So the fact that you've got somebody who is going to be courted heavily probably as we get into January is another reason why you may be looking at a scenario, if not this week, maybe in the coming weeks, where if it does not get turned around, they want to give Evero a look, because the thing that could make a bad season even worse is if Ejiro Evero becomes a great head coach and you let him leave your building without a successful season for the team, or in a failed season without at least giving him a look as head coach.
Now flip the script on that, Mace. What could make a bad season actually a real silver lining is if your next head coach gets 6 games head start. Right? If you get 6 games with Ejiro Evero as your head coach, even though it's interim, hire him next year. It's not going to be a new hire who's just new at this and he's learning. Like, no, he's going to have experience. And I love that idea. And I love Mel's avatar here because it's a Boss 302 1970. My favorite year of Mustang is 1970 Fastback Boss 302.
Nice. And he says Broncos season theme song is Riding the Storm Out by REO Speedwagon. Yeah, there's a song.
I'm sure D-Mac spun that on Syracuse radio back in the day. So there you go. Your numbers piece.
D-Mac was doing Syracuse radio back in the 80s. Were they still playing? Like, it's classic
Speedwagon would have been playing, yeah.
But that was 70s REO. That was
I have no idea.
That was pre-high infidelity REO.
Ah, okay.
Look at you. Gonna go back through the albums here. The REO.
Next, we'll review Kiss Dynasty, which was
REO
their disco album.
Speedwagon, a good Midwest classic rock band.
Okay. I like I Was Made for Loving You. Anyway, guesses on no-shows. Will your numbers piece include that? A guess on no-shows.
I may mention the no-show counts.
Okay.
I will say that sometimes I think the no-show count has actually been a bit higher than what has been announced. At least just
usually
by my own eye test.
Yes, they do that. Yep.
So I'm going to say the final no-show count announced ends up between 6,000 and 8,000 announced.
Oh, they're lying. If it's 6,000 to 8,000 announced, I'll tell you right now, the Broncos are lying.
Well, the other thing also that comes into play, part of my unofficial count, is I usually drive to the stadium at about the same time before every game, about 3 hours before kickoff. And I've seen some games where it was popping, and boy, the traffic's already building up. I drive past the light rail station, and I see people lining up, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a good day. Well, the Jets game, for example, it was smooth sailing from my home all the way to the stadium north on I-25. And I looked at the light rail station near my place, and there were like 2 people, right? So, so again, one of those things where when you see it, when you feel it, you'll know it.
You'll know it, and you'll know orange or blue today because it's 3:30 Mountain Time every single day. Mace, I got to run in just a little bit. So any final thoughts as we wrap up this Friday show?
Look, Raiders have allowed 20 points, like I mentioned, in each game. Broncos season high is 23 points that they had against the Raiders back in week 4. If they do the things that you and I suggest, they won't just hit 23 points. They'll surpass it. They'll have a season high. I think you should be disappointed with anything below a season high point total for this Broncos offense. And yeah, am I setting people up for disappointment? Perhaps, but I think it's important to have expectations and have reasonable expectations. I think at least 24 points is a very reasonable expectation, and not reaching that should lead to some disappointment.
He's Andrew Mason. I am
How about you?
Lammey.
Your final thought real quick?
Oh, my final thought is this better be a win. This had better work, right? There's like quote Star Wars nonstop. I'll go Grand Moff Tarkin today, and I'll say this had better work.
Yep,
this had better work, or else the star's gonna blow up.
Take an awful chance, Vader. This had better work.
This had better work. I do that unconsciously, dude.
I know, I
just
did
said
too.
it, and I was like, wait a second, that's a Star Wars quote. Wait a second, that's Grand Moff Tarkin. Wait a second, Maisel, no. Okay, I'm good.
Life for my daughter when she's around me involves a lot of John Fox and Star Wars quotes. I mean, my daughter's probably gonna, when she grows up, she's gonna say like, "Stay in my lane." Oh my! She'll be like, "Oh my gosh!"
She'll talk about skins on the wall. They'll be like, "You're not a hunter."
Yeah, I know. Or she'll say something else like, "You can consider all of it, or you can consider none of it." And she'll be like, "Oh my gosh." You can. That is my favorite, by the way. And I think the exact quote is, "You can consider everything, or you can consider nothing." And one more Star Wars quote from Stony Neff. I've got a bad feeling about this. Well, I can see why a lot of people do have a bad feeling about this game and this season. There's no reason to have good feelings.
Right. Perfect way to go out on a Friday. Everyone have a safe weekend. Be safe. Be kind. Know that you're appreciated. He's Andrew Mason. I'm Cecil Lammey. Stay tuned. And I ask that you stay frosty.